Emma, you're a bright, shining light of common sense here. I know you've been out talking to local business owners. They don't want the injecting room. Broadly, Victorians beyond Melbourne residents, they don't want it either. Why on earth, then, is James Merlino, Martin Foley and, of course, the Premier, who's back on Monday, pressing ahead?
Well, that's an excellent question, Peter. When we think about Degraves Street, we think about that beautiful cafe culture, that iconic laneway that people come from all around the world to experience, and it is what makes Melbourne so special. So for Labor to even consider replicating their flawed injecting room in North Richmond and to put it at the gateway to the city really beggars belief.
I want to play a comment from Martin Foley explaining why the injecting room just had to go on Flinders Street last month.
And in regards to the specific locations, I think we've said on a number of occasions, the area with the greatest degree of harm occurs around that 250-metre radius on the corners of Flinders and Elizabeth. That is right now where, on average, across the city of Melbourne, that is the hottest spot where, on average, someone is dying once a month, and there are overdoses on a regular basis.
But today, Emma, we learned that that's actually not true. Data from the Crime Statistics Agency shows that the Urella building, that site is not the epicentre of drug-related offending in Melbourne CBD. The intersection of Spencer and Burke Streets, in fact, has a much higher rate of drug-related offending. So there goes Foley's argument. It just doesn't stack up, does it?
No, it doesn't stack up at all. And I don't understand why he's gone down this perspective where he says that this is a hotspot when the Crime Statistics Agency data simply doesn't back it up. So we've got the Crime Statistics Agency data which says this area isn't a drug hotspot. We've got the Degraves Street traders who have just been smashed recently through the Metro Tunnel street closures where people haven't been able to walk through or even see where their shop is. And then we've had 4 Labor lockdowns which have been announced with little or no notice. There's been very little government support for these businesses. And of course, they've got no international travellers either. This is really the straw that will break the camel's back for so many of these traders who are really so important to the vibrancy of Melbourne.
So we know the government here, heavily in debt, still bought this multi-million-dollar building anyway, the Urella building. You say don't make it a drug den, use it as a mental health facility. What would that look like?
Well, we all know, Peter, that we're facing a mental health crisis in Victoria. This was confirmed earlier this year. We had the handing down of the Royal Commission into Mental Health's final report, which really exposed just how bad we'd got in Victoria when it came to the range of mental health supports and services available. It spoke to the missing middle that we've known about for a very, very long time. We've actually got fewer mental health beds now than we did 7 years ago when the Liberal Nationals were in government. And we've got just a massive cut of access to mental health services across the state. People are waiting more than 8 hours and even days in an emergency department waiting for a mental health bed. So surely we can address that problem through this $40 million building. It's at the gateway of the city. It provides fantastic access through public transport. All roads lead to this intersection of Flinders Street and in that Flinders Street area. So I think the government should come on board. Every Victorian knows somebody who's been impacted by mental illness or mental ill health, and that has been particularly exacerbated through Labor's lockdown. So it's a great positive alternative, and it's something Labor can get going on today.
Look, I love that idea, a drop-in service, availability immediately when you walk in the door for mental health consultations, as opposed to a booth where someone says, take your ice or your heroin in there and away you go, and that's taxpayer funded. But helping people get back together again after what's been a really tough time for Melburnians, that's not funded the way this is. I think it's a great idea. Emma Kealy, good luck with it. I hope it happens. We'll stick up for you here on Credlin.